People are still joining. Again, welcome to everybody. My name is Lars. I'm the SPC at Luxem. And if you can see, we also have a physical center in Zurich with people sitting here tonight, and also a lot of people online from all over the world, many languages. So it's really wonderful. So many people wish to hear about Tantra and joining in on the meditations. I will post in the chat a form in which you can submit your questions to Paula. She will reply those the next time, we hope. And are we going to start? Or just giving it a few minutes for people to join. Hope you can hear me well. And good evening and welcome to Spanish speakers, Italian speakers, German, French, people speaking English, people from other countries, understanding either language. It's wonderful. The interest in this topic, Demystifying Tantra, has been huge. Well, so much interest in this tantric teaching, so that's really wonderful that so many people choose to join in. And we're still getting people joining us. In the chat, you can see a link to the form, so you can submit your question in one of the 4 languages, English, Spanish, Italian, or French. And we will have it translated and sent to Paula so she can answer it on the 15th, the last of the teachings. All right. So officially welcome. Right, here we go, and welcome. My name is Lars. I would like to welcome you to the teachings with Paula Chichester, and she will continue with teachings on Tantra, demystifying Tantra, making it accessible to us, even though we might not have the initiation. And I would just like to hand over the word to Paula. So welcome, Paula. Happy to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, lovely to see everyone.
Yeah.
Are we ready now? We're starting now?
We're starting now.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Today, our topic is Guru, the teacher. And it's an interesting topic. It's very important in Tantra, and we will get into it after we do our preliminary prayers. If you're just joining us for the first time, this is the 5th of our meetings. And the first was a rather whirlwind introduction to Tantra, where I tried to cover weeks of study in one day. And then we did the mind, and for the speech, we did an actual practice, green tar. And then last time we did the body. And because when we practice Tantra, the reason it's a quick path to enlightenment is because it transforms the body, speech, and the mind. And because it works so much with the bodily energies, it's very important to work with the body. And I think for some people that might be a bit of a surprise, because we think that meditation is all about the mind, but that's not the case. So I wanted just to, before I forget, just add a few things about that, which is that the meditation that I led last week was not an actual Tibetan Buddhist meditation, but it's a healing meditation from Chinese medicine. And the reason I did that is because we need a strong body to practice. And in these times, because of our lifestyles and the pollution in the world, we don't always have such a strong body. So I led that to help us feel more clarity in body and mind. And also, I just wanted to mention that traditionally, and I haven't gone into this class, and we won't, but there are preliminaries to practicing, especially highest yoga tantra, and one of them is prostrations. And maybe many of you know about prostrations. You can find out if you don't, by going to your local FBMT center. But prostrations are a really good way to purify body, speech, and mind. And it's a very physical activity. And if you have ever noticed these older lamas, they still have these great strong bodies and these, beautifully sculpted muscles, because many of them, even in their 80s, they'll do 300 prostrations in the morning before they start their meditation. And we have a practice called the 35 Buddhas. And that, even if we just do those 35 in the morning, it makes a big difference. It strengthens the back and the legs and the arms and everything. So I just sort of wanted to mention that before we start. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, which I can't underemphasize, is that if you decide to begin a tantric practice, then it's really important to do these preliminaries that I've taught of just very basic meditations where we tune into the body, the hollow body, and the breathing, which I briefly mentioned last time and asked you to please work on it over the week. I don't know if you had any time, but if not, maybe go back and listen to that again, because I can't emphasize enough how important it is to learn to feel the energy and the body and the relationship to the breath, because we need to know how to pace our tantric visualizations and mantra recitations. And until we can feel how the meditation is moving the subtle winds, it's much more difficult to know when we overdo it. And if some of you may have been around for a while, you've heard of the word lung, or meditation distress. It's when we've done a bit too much. So Lama Yeshe and many lamas have always stressed the fact that it's better to do too little than too much, because quite often it seems really easy and we're flowing along with all the visualizations and the colors and the mantras, and then that goes, and then suddenly one day we wake up and we just can't do it. So less is better. So I just wanted to say that before we start. And also, we always start with our motivation. Why are we doing this? And I don't think we've mentioned the Four Noble Truths yet in this course. And of course, that's the whole foundation of Buddhism, which is the Four Noble Truths are the truth, the origin, the cessation, and the path. The truth of our reality, which is that I've mentioned before that we have these bodies and minds that are controlled by delusion and karma. Now, that's a very Buddhist definition, but we could say, just to say, the word dukkha doesn't really translate as suffering. It could be dissatisfaction, it could be uncomfort, because when we say suffering, many of us can think, I'm not suffering, I have a really good life. Maybe people around me are, maybe my neighbor has COVID, and maybe the people in Germany are in a flood, but I'm fine. So that might be a misnomer. But the point is that when we study the long run, we can see that there's always a degree of dissatisfaction and unknowing and ignorance in our lives. And this is what Buddha taught, and that the origin of that is because we don't understand our true nature and the nature of reality. And one way of describing our true nature is our Buddha nature. And the idea in Dharma is that we're born and we travel from life to life with an original goodness, an original Buddha mind and subtle mind and body within us. But it's because of the way this subtle mind and body becomes manifest when we take rebirth into a gross physical body, be it human or animal or spirit, or it is the way we communicate is through our 5 senses or 6 senses. And because of that, everything appears to exist truly and outside of ourselves, because we feel the way we apprehend objects, it feels like there's something out there and there's something in here, which then leads us to the experience that somebody's doing something to me, which is how we can then have a grasping mind at I want this and I don't want that, and I resent that and I can't forgive that, and all these things that create this discomfort in our lives. And so that's the cause. And then what Buddha taught is that there is actually a cessation of suffering when we can realize our Buddha nature, when we can dip down through all the levels of misperception to experience our true nature. And to get this, Buddha laid out a path. And there are different paths to enlightenment, as many, I think there are 84,000 teachings. And what has come down through us through Tibet are the Sutra and the Tantra. And what we're talking about this course is the Tantric Path, which is the most quickest path to enlightenment. And because it is a quick path and because it has pitfalls, it's advised that we have a teacher, the guru, a real teacher, a person, a human being that can guide us. And this doesn't mean that we have to ask that teacher everything. That the purpose of the teacher is to empower us to find our own inner wisdom. But in the beginning, we need that inspiration and we need the instructions. And so for this, we need a teacher. And that will be the subject of our discussion today. But first, let's start by taking refuge and generating bodhicitta, reciting the Heart Sutra, and the Lamrim prayer, the foundation of all good qualities. And this is part of the tradition that we belong to. And so tradition is important, lineage is important. I've talked about that before, and it's our job as Westerners to really embrace the lineage and then sift out as we become more and more clear about the true path to enlightenment, that we can begin to discern between what is Tibetan culture and what is actual Buddhism. Because as Lama Yeshe has told us, that we need to create our own Western modern Buddhism. As we know, Tibetan Buddhism has a lot of old world medieval ideas, but that doesn't mean that it isn't viable and powerful. So for some of us, it's a little bit daunting to wade through the Tibetan cultural attachments to it all, the costumes and the colors and the deities and the traditions and the prayers. But at least these prayers that we're going to do, I feel, and we all feel as a group, are very important. So and the more part of it is in Buddhism is we have to test everything. We have to try it out, and see the effect on our mind, on our being, on our whole bodies. And I think you'll find that doing these prayers does bring a type of blessing, an opening of the mind to receiving the information. And that's why we do it. So we always start with taking refuge. And that is the idea that we've come to the point where we realize there is a cessation and a path, and we want to follow that path. And that path is taught by the Buddha. So we take refuge in the Buddha and his teachings and our friends who help us along the way. And in this time, in our present time, the voice of the Buddha is the guru, the teacher. And so we also take refuge in the teacher. And so we'll talk about that later. But let's just get on with the prayers. So I'll do them in English, and I think you all have your wonderful translators. Again, I'd like to thank the great translators that we have, and they will lead them for your language. I think Losong's joining us today, or maybe, I'm not sure, maybe she's taping, but anyway, it's nice to see Losong. So let's just go. So first, let's imagine Buddha Shakyamuni, a statue, or not a statue, a figure of an imagine Buddha in the space in front of us. And this is a being with enlightened qualities. In our case, it was a man who walked the earth 2,500 years ago. And there have been many Buddhas to follow him, male and female, but we still take refuge in the Buddha of this eon, Buddha Shakyamuni. So let's just pause for a minute and just come into our bodies by paying attention to our breath, feeling our sitting bones on our chair or our cushion, and our feet also on the cushion or on the floor. Connecting with our heart by generating gratitude, thinking about the people and the things we're grateful for. We remember our father and our mother, the father on the right and the mother on the left. All our friends around us, people that irritate us, we have problems forgiving in front of us. And then remembering everyone who's on this Zoom. I can't see the whole gallery, but we're all here together. And just imagine that we're in the room in Laksam together, or in some beautiful countryside place in the Alps of Switzerland on a beautiful sunny day with the flowers blooming, and we're all together meditating, and including all the people who are suffering from COVID and the floods and the fires and the wars and the transitions in Afghanistan, and the homeless and the people who need jobs, and all the animals and spirits and all the beings throughout all the three realms. We're imagining that like we're a choir leader and we're all taking refuge together, knowing that there is a total cessation, peace of mind that lasts forever. And we can attain that. And not only is it our peace of mind, but it also enables us to be helpful to anyone, any being, anywhere, at any time, because Buddhists have omniscient mind. So with a strong desire to attain enlightenment, we take refuge. And if you wish, if you have the capacity while we take refuge, we can imagine from the Buddha, from his heart, or from his crown, his throat, and his heart. Light rays, white light rays are coming and purifying all of our obstacles to attaining enlightenment, filling up our bodies, bringing us the realization of bliss and emptiness. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. We'll do it one more time. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. So just imagining we're filling up with complete satisfaction and peace and bliss. And that sense of I, that sense of separate me, just dissolves into the sphere of awareness. That is the ultimate refuge. Breathing in, we're feeling love and spacious awareness. As we breathe out, we share that with all sentient beings. And as best we can, maintaining that kind of awareness. Don't worry if you don't. We'll recite the Heart Sutra, the heart of the perfection of Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to the three noble, rare, sublime ones. Thus did I hear at one time, the Bhagwan was dwelling on massive Vulture's Mountain in Rajgir, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagawan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara: how should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Sharadvati Putra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feelings, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, and no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no objects of touch, and no phenomena. There's no I element and so forth, up to including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There's no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom. The mind without obstruction, without fear, having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to the unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared: Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagawan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that. It is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated, and even the Tathagatas rejoice. Then the Bhagawan, having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharadvati Putra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Blessed One. Then to clear the obstacles, we recite the Lionface Takini prayer. From the Holy Supreme Realm of Kachara, you who possess powers of clairvoyance and magical emanation, look after practitioners like a mother looks after her children. To the host of Dakinis of the three bodies, I prostrate. Akasamaracha Shara Samaraya Pe, Akasamaracha Shara Samaraya Pe, Akasamaracha Shara Samaraya Pe. Akasamaracha Shara Samaraya Pe. Tayata Gati Gati Peragaris Perasam Gati Bodhi Soha. By the teachings of the three noble sublime ones possessing the power of truth, may all hindrances be averted, may they be eliminated, may they be pacified. May all enemies and negative forces opposed to the Dharma be completely pacified.
Just wait a moment, see if we can get Paula back online. Looks like she's frozen.
She broke off. Need to log on again. Hopefully she'll be right back. And we just ended the prayer to the Lionface Takini. So giving it just a few minutes. In the chat, I posted a link to the form so you can submit questions to any of her teachings for the past weeks. Any question is welcome, and she will respond as soon as she gets it. And you can submit it in all of the language, Spanish, Italian, French, and German, or in English. We will have it translated. And here we are again.
Sorry, did you keep going with the prayer? Are you reading the prayer?
No, you just left, you froze around at the end of the Lionface Takini.
Yeah, well, let's do the prayer then. I don't know what happened, the internet.
Right.
I don't know. Let's keep going though. Okay, we're at the foundation. Are we at the foundation of all good qualities now? I hope so.
Yeah, we never got started on this one.
Okay, let's go. The foundation of all good qualities is the kind and perfect Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once is greatly meaningful and difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of black and white karma follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, Please bless me always to be careful to abandon even the slightest negative action and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Seeking samsaric pleasures is the door to all suffering. They are uncertain and cannot be relied upon. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate the strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution arise. The root of the teachings is keeping the Pratimoksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I've fallen into the sea of samsara, so have all mother transmigratory beings. Please bless me to see this and to train in supreme bodhicitta and bear the responsibility of freeing transmigratory beings. Even if I develop only bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 types of morality, I will not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I've pacified distractions to wrong objects and correctly analyzed the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of calm abiding and special insight. Having become a pure vessel by training in the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the 2 attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I have become firmly convinced of this, please bless me protect these vows and pledges like my life. Then, having realized the importance of the 2 stages, the essence of the Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Gurus who show the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice it have long lives. Please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. In all my lives, never separated from perfect Gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the stages and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. And then, are we ready? Yeah, okay. So then we do the Mandala Offering. And just do it however you like. I think I will do it in Tibetan. Saji Buki Jukshin Mejo Tram Riram Ling Jimine Yan Pani Sange Jindu Mite Uvargi Drokun Nam Jina Chapasho Dagi Chagdam Mons Sum Kewe Yoldra Nenbasum Ludang Lang Choche Angpa Meba Bogi Lekshe Du Angpa Meba Bogi Lekshe Shene Dusu. I'm sorry, Ro, watching you. I'll just read it in English. The ground is blessed with scent and flowers strewn, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 lands, sun and moon, transformed as a pure land and offered. May all wandering beings enjoy this Buddha land. All those objects of my mind's 3 poisons, coveted, friend, foe, and stranger, body, wealth, worldly pleasure, without a feeling of loss, I surrender. Receive them, please, and free all beings from their bondage. Please, precious Guru, please bless my mind and the mind of all sentient beings to be free from all the wrong views, gain all the realizations, and be free from all hindrances and obstacles. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. So I think I will do this short calling the Guru, this really short one. It's a Tibetan prayer that Lama Zopa Rinpoche gave to Rob Priest many, many years ago to translate and put to a tune. And in 1986, we did a Chakra Samvara Body Mandala retreat in Dharamsala with Rob, and we did this every morning, and I've always loved it. So I'll share it with you. It is available if you want to learn it on the Brave You website, to the recording of it. So let's remember that visualization of the Buddha in the space in front of us. And in that visualization, we're now going to call our actual Guru to come and abide in that space. And if you don't have an actual teacher, that's okay. If you'd like one, you can call him or her to come and be with you. Because the best way to find the teacher is to pray for one. If you want a real teacher, just pray really hard to be led to the perfect teacher. And pray to Buddha, and you will be. Even if you, I think for me, I didn't even know I was really looking for Lama Yeshe when he came into my life. So it goes like this. I think you might have it on your papers. Om, please come, great hero, the teacher of pure words, creation, destruction, self-arisen, the wisdom of emptiness, and that alone. Om, please come, great hero, the teacher of pure words, creation, destruction, self-arisen, the wisdom of emptiness, and that alone. Om, please come, great hero, the teacher of pure words, creation, destruction, self-arisen, the wisdom of emptiness, and that alone. So, once again, setting our motivation to have this discussion so that we can attain enlightenment for all sentient beings. So this little prayer explains Guru Yoga, really, that the Guru, the whole reason for a teacher, a master, a Lama, is to realize emptiness, isn't it? So when we call this calling the Guru, we're calling the realization of emptiness. That nothing is really ever created or destroyed or arises by itself. Everything is dependent origination. And in case you're new to the Heart Sutra, you know, when it says no eye, no ear, no nose, it doesn't mean we don't have an eye or ear or nose. It means not how it appears to us, not a truly inherently existent feeling, discrimination, compositional factors in consciousness or form. And so this is the whole point of the path to enlightenment. And so on this path, it's like any other path, you need a guide. And we can read all the books in the world, but without that blessing, it doesn't seem to really ripen into a real experience. And, you know, I think I've explained to you before, I come from a scientific background, and I embarked on an experiment. You know, I was interested in anthropology when I was younger, so kind of I would be my own experiment of playing with this idea of following the Guru and following this path. And I can tell you that in the times in my life when I haven't can I say that the Guru Yoga practice, if I haven't put a lot of energy into the Guru Yoga practice, the experience, the transformative experience that comes from doing the deity practice is much less. It's kind of, it doesn't have the power. And I've often thought about what is a blessing, you know, what is it? How is it that this transference of experience, which is what a blessing is. It's a transference of experience from the Guru's experience to my experience, because ultimately enlightenment is an experience. It's not a thought. It's beyond thinking. We have to, I think I've explained, we need conceptual understanding of it, but the actual transformation comes from, it's a felt thing. It's an experience thing. It's this clarity and awareness that I talk about that tantric practice leads us to. It's nothing that can be really described in words. So I've mentioned the lineage and the line of gurus, and I can't remember what class, if I've said this before, because I've been teaching other classes. But I think I've talked the idea, I think it was in this class where I talked about the idea of being like the lineage being almost like a radio signal, as if there was a big transformer, like a Buddha transformer somewhere, like the cell phone trip that we all have now. You know, there's something that, you know, connects all of our mobile phones together, you know, so that we can WhatsApp each other and email each other and like this. Well, I think on some level, like quantum physics level, we're all connected mentally. And there's a specific kind of Buddha channel, for lack of a better word, like when we go to like a YouTube channel or a radio station, or you go to your Facebook, whatever you go to, you know, you go to that place. And so the way I understand it, as best as I can, is within like the thought sphere, you know, the mental sphere, how we're all connected. And we know we are, because we know, you know, that we already have a sense of clairvoyance. You know when you're thinking about someone, they write you, you hear them, you feel them, you can know when your friends are not well, or something on that level. And so the reason there's a lineage is it's this powerful connection to this source of enlightenment that when we do the Guru Yoga, we connect to. And so from whomever we've received these transmissions, these empowerments, these initiations, it's more or less like we connect our internet connection, to the big World Wide Web. It's like connecting our heart connection to this lineage of enlightened beings. And of course, it goes back to the Buddha, but of course, there is more than one Buddha. And of course, also the lineages have divided and separated out over the centuries, so that we have, 4 different or 5 different major lineages of Tibetan Buddhism. And within that, their lineages, like in the Kagyu, they have the Karma Kagyu and the Drupa Kagyu and all these things. But they all go back to the same place, and they essentially bring you to the same point. They're all bring you to the point of enlightenment. So we end up practicing in whatever tradition, with whichever teacher we feel the most connected. So it's important to look around a little bit and find the teacher that resonates with your heart. And I know it's difficult now because we're in a pandemic and we don't get to be connected live to people. But, believe me, I've noticed that these transmissions, this also is proof of how it works, come across the internet. It's not the same. And I encourage you to connect with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Khyentse Zopa Rinpoche, and other great lamas that are out there these days. And, pay attention, maybe receive an empowerment, try and practice Tara from an empowerment you may have received online. So this is why we need a guru, because in the beginning, we don't really know where to start. And not only do we need a blessing, but what's helpful is if we can get some actual guidance, personal guidance, from someone who may be able to tap into the source of, the Buddha source in a way, maybe a little bit better than we can in the beginning. And when we talk about Guru Yoga, we have the outer Guru, which is the one I'm talking about now. And then there's the inner Guru, which is our own inner wisdom. And I think most of us have the experience. We know the difference between just mindless chatter and thoughts that are governed by emotional or worldly ideas, like attachment to things or people or aversion or these. But we also have a deeper, we know when we're connecting with our heart, that deeper sense of knowing. And the more we meditate, the more we connect with that deep sense of connecting with our heart. And many of us have that already. We don't need to be Buddhists. There's nothing special about, Buddhism, about connecting with our inner wisdom. Everybody has that capacity. We're born that way. And I think the deeper our conditioning is, the more we've taken on personality traits and ways of behavior that we learned from our parents and our teachers and our environment, that source of inner wisdom might be a little bit more covered up. And when we teach ourselves to sit and listen and be quiet, we can find it. But I think we find an even quicker path to it when we invoke the Guru or the deity. And now in Tantra, you see, the deity is the Guru. And one of the reasons that the deity kind of transcends that is it's beyond the personality of the Guru. And I'll get into that at the end about Guru, different personalities and difficulties we may have with that. But for now, when we connect, like last week when we did Tara, we visualized Tara. Tara is inseparable with the guru, and that is inseparable with our inner wisdom. And so part of the psychology of how it works is that because our inner capacity for feeling our inner wisdom, not with everybody, but with a lot of us, myself included, it's harder to contact. But when we, because of these, all the layers we put on top, but what's helpful is that because we can project this quality of enlightenment outside of ourselves, and then in the tantric practice, we have these preliminary practices we do, the 7-limb prayer, that leads up to the experience of the guru coming to the crown of our head and dissolving into us, and then my mind becomes inseparable with the guru's mind. And when we do that, and if we can sit and be quiet and allow that process to happen with some faith, and faith is an ingredient that's necessary, and we don't have to just take it on blind faith, but maybe reasoned faith, or maybe even like, I'll try it out faith, like I'll check this out and see if it works for me. But then when that happens, then it's easier to listen for the guidance that we need, like, should I take this job, or, should I go to this doctor, or, is this a good path for me, or, and the more we do that, the more that becomes integrated into our everyday personality. So we begin to just know and begin to act. And what's the beautiful thing about it too, is that the more and more we connect with the deity, which connects us with the guru, even our relative self, our authentic personality becomes more apparent to us, so that we're not so much conditioned by how we were taught to behave. And these different behaviors that we have that may no longer serve us, but you notice there are habitual patterns of how we react, because that's what we had to do to please our mother or our teacher or whatever. And we bring those into our adult relationships, and they no longer serve us, and they just get in the way. So connecting with the deity and with the inner guru helps us to establish our own relative wisdom that will guide us and help us, go along this path to enlightenment. It, like, what books to read, and what teachings to go to, and what friends, we kind of can already know our friends, so that doesn't work. But it just gives us a sense of, because Tantra means connection, thread, this connection. It's like when we practice Tantra, it's almost like there's an invisible thread that we're following on this path of, how to live our lives. And with a little practice and little skill, we can kind of feel our way. And it's a different way of living, but it's definitely a more exciting way of living, and a more blessed way of living. So the outer guru is the teacher, and the inner guru, and then the secret guru is this actual experience of pristine awareness, of simultaneous bliss and emptiness, of Dharmakaya. These are all synonyms of our own innate wisdom, emptiness, and bliss, which is the path to enlightenment. And it's not like we get it bang, when we're enlightened. It comes gradually, we get little tastes, we get little fleeting experiences of this pristine awareness. And over time, it grows and grows and grows. And in the Gelugpa tradition, we talk about having a generic experience of emptiness. That means it's still conceptual, but it gets less and less conceptual the more and more we practice. And this whole process works faster and faster with Guru Yoga. And so this is why they say that the Guru is the foundation of all good qualities, because it's just something to do with tapping into that lineage that brings that blessing. And I think I may have explained before that what we do is by creating the cause to gain the blessings, the greatest cause, the fastest way to create what we call merit is through doing these Guru Yoga practices, because we begin to see more and more that we are the deity as we do Guru Yoga, that we cut through the mundane appearances of ourselves and our environment. Not that everything starts looking, like deities and, mandalas. Those are symbols. But what it means is we cut through the bullshit. We cut through these layers and layers and layers of concepts we have about things and patterns that we have about things until we can. It gets to the end point where you can actually see the emptiness of things. But even before then, you can just cut through and have the clarity to know what's going on in your life and what you're experiencing without having these overlays of attachment and aversion and these different stories that we've told ourselves. And so the guru and the deity helps us with that. So when we take a highest yoga tantra empowerment, we're given a commitment to do, at least in the Gelugpa tradition, a 6-session Guru Yoga. And traditionally, it meant that we stopped 6 times every day and just tapped into that inner space. It's not about worshiping a guru or becoming a doormat to a guru and doing everything a guru tells you to do. It's not about that at all. It's important to respect our teachers, but we also have to respect our own inner wisdom. And if we join the club and have a teacher that asks us to do things, if it doesn't feel right for us, we just say, no, I'm sorry, it doesn't feel right. I'm not going to do that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's not like signing your life away to a cult. It's not about that at all. And there is a danger of that. There's even the danger of that FMT. So you have to realize that if we take on a guru, it doesn't mean we relinquish control over our lives. We can ask for advice. And it's good to ask for advice. But if it doesn't ring true to us, then, because you have to remember, the whole point is develop our own inner wisdom. And so often it's not about giving your power away to somebody else at all, So it's very important to check out the type of teacher that you're going to be connected with, to see that they have a real lineage, of course, who their teachers are, and that they're moral in their behavior, that they know their teaching, that they're not just making up stuff, and that it's an authentic lineage. So I'll just talk a little bit more. Than I wanted to do a meditation with us. One thing I wanted to share with you is in the Lam Rim, we have these teachings on Guru devotion. And it's good to study that, seeing the Guru as Buddha. Now, seeing the Guru as Buddha, the reasons in the Lam Rim are like because Vajradhara said so, because there's bodhisattvas out there in the world, so of course must be one. If there are gurus, if there are Buddhas out there, this has to be one. And also because it says, because our ordinary appearance is faulty. Now, this has become very problematic in the West because the Tibetan, I'm sorry about those noises, the Tibetan world is very magnificent, and there's a lot of magic involved with these gurus, and we have profound experiences in the presence of these gurus. And then we also have, now it's come out that so many of these teachers maybe aren't behaving in the way that we would think a guru should behave. So what do we do in that case? Well, first of all, we should check up thoroughly. And I can tell you that I have been Lama Zopa's student for over 40 years. And I may differ a little bit on cultural aspects with Rinpoche, particularly when it comes to dealing with childhood abuse and things like that. But he's perfectly pure, wonderful, best guru. I'm so lucky and fortunate to have Lama Zopa Rinpoche as my guru, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Lama Yeshe, and it's totally transformed my life. And when we live with that connection, it just makes the life totally meaningful. And I can't explain to you why. And it probably, you know, we talk about devotion being the root of the path, and devotion really does open up our hearts. And what it also says in the Lamrim is, how do we practice the Guru? We're practicing by remembering the kindness, and when remembering the kindness of the teacher, and how, especially our Tibetan teachers who've walked out of Tibet. I mean, some of them are young, have been born, but still they've gone through such extraordinary hardship to be our teachers. And they've learned English, and they deal with all of our neurotic behavior. And with Lama Zopa Rinpoche especially, over and over and over again, I've been hearing him say the same things for 40 years. And he just says it again and again and again. And one time, when I was with a very small group of people, Lama Zopa said, teaching you people Dharma is like trying to teach a dog to speak English. So their kindness is incredible, because gurus like Lama Zopa Rinpoche are enlightened beings. And we have to realize that they come into this world. And when they come into this world, they take on our human bodies. And so they have to deal with the same, you know, filter of sensory awareness that we do in these same bodies. And they bring and they have to learn again, all over again in this lifetime, you know, to connect with that, with their realizations of emptiness. And for Rinpoche, it was very easy. I think he probably got Shine when he was a small child, because he told me one time he realized he didn't need to sleep when he was a young boy. So he's an extraordinary being. And I just hope lifetime after lifetime I can be connected with Lama Zopa Rinpoche and His Holiness and my teachers, because enlightenment takes a long time, and we make as much progress as we can this life, but it's very rare to attain enlightenment in one lifetime. And so we want to reconnect with this lineage, life after life after life. So it's really important to dedicate for that. And so when we think about their kindness, we're just overwhelmed with kind of devotion and gratitude. And that in itself opens our heart to receiving the blessing, you know. And because they give us empowerments, they go all over the world teaching us, they have patience with us with all the silly mistakes we make, they pick us up again, they keep at it, you know. It's really amazing what they do, to bend over backwards, to come into this human realm, to communicate with us. And then, of course, the way we repay that kindness, the best way, you know, I think the Lamrim gives 3 ways. We can offer our service, we can offer our material, like to help keep the Dharma alive. You know, we can make offerings to the Guru, we can make offerings to the projects, we can make offerings to the Dharma centers like Lagsan to keep them going, because it's through the center that the Gurus can manifest. And then, but the best way is to practice. You know, the Lama doesn't need our offering, the Lama doesn't need anything, but what really makes them happy is if we sincerely devote ourselves to a daily practice. Whatever you can do, you know, just touching in with that refuge, with a bodhicitta, remembering, giving up the affairs of this life, working for sentient beings, and as best as possible realizing emptiness, if we can spend a little bit of time every day going towards enlightenment, that's the best way to repay the kindness of the Guru. And this thing about merit, what is merit? Well, merit is like the evolution of our spirit, the evolution of this gross body, speech, and mind towards enlightenment. And it's like the fuel of that evolution. When we do things, like I just said, that 15 minutes of practice, or if we can't practice, if we can offer our service or offer our funds or offer our things, whatever we can do, whenever we motivate anything with enlightenment and dedicate for enlightenment, we are creating the capacity for our evolution towards enlightenment. It brings us the energy to do it, the inspiration to do it. And I know merit is not a very good word because it's more of a concept of creating this ever energizing capacity. And each lifetime we create a little bit more and a little bit more, so it becomes easier and easier to practice. And so rather than trying to do something that's very difficult for us, it's better to find out what we can do now to create the cause for enlightenment and do it well and do it with energy so that we can practice generosity and patience and morality and joyous effort and generate some concentration and work on wisdom and do these things. And so practicing the Tantra is really an experience of Guru Yoga, because we start out with the deity in front of us, we bring the deity into us, we sit with my mind, essence, the Guru's mind, and then from that emptiness we arise as the deity. And that transforms our ordinary body, speech, and mind. And so the Guru is extremely, it's like the heart, the Guru Yoga is the heart of the practice, because it's bringing forth our inner wisdom, our inner guidance, and our experience of our inner nature, our true Buddha nature. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm talking about Lama Zopa Rinpoche and Lama Yeshe because they're my main teachers, but they don't have to be yours. You know, you can. I encourage you to however you can connect. I think most of us here are FPMT, so we're kind of already there. And we're so lucky. We're so lucky, you know. There'll never be anything trouble with Lama Zopa. He's, you know, when I go to other teachers, and for a while I was you know, studying with the Nyingmas and the Kagyus, I just wanted more information and more not information, but more ways to meditate on emptiness after I finished my second 4-year retreat. And so I studied a little bit with some different teachers. And at that time I was ordained, which gave me, it's a big plus, you know, they recognize you, you know, you sit in a room with 300 people and you get to sit in the front because you're all dressed in the clothes that they like, you know. And so sitting in the front, you know, I'd go up and I'd speak to them and they'd say, well, where are you from? You know, because I've never seen you before. And I'd say, oh, I'm Lama Zopa Rinpoche student. And they would immediately go, oh, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he's the most pure. And this is like Kagyu Lamas, Nyingma Lamas, Sakya Lamas. Like, oh, you're so fortunate. He's the most pure Lama on the planet, you know. So I just thought I'd share that with you to know that. And so before we do a meditation, let's just, so what do we do about the teachers that, you know, we're seeing sometimes some trouble with their behavior, with sexual conduct or other conducts, you know? And I just want to share with you my feelings and also what Lama Zopa said. And part of my feelings is that with some of these lamas, we have to realize, like I said, that it's quite possible, and I believe that they are reincarnated lamas. But we have to realize when they come into these bodies, they have, you know, kind of ordinary aspects as well. And I think my feeling is that there's so much pressure on reincarnated lamas to be monastics that maybe, you know, if they feel that isn't right for them, then they do. Some of them do. If they want to have a partner, they should be able to have a partner. And it shouldn't be such a stigma, such a, negative, seen as such a negative thing. It isn't always. But also, I wanted to share with you what Lama Zopa Rinpoche was saying a few years ago about one of the great lamas that was, there's a lot about. And it was really amazing what he said, because he said, and this might be a bit tough for you to hear, but he said, this is our karma, because this is our karmic vision of this life, that these Buddhas, they come here, but the Buddhas are only here because of our wishes. They don't come because they want to come, they become because that's why it's always important to pray, we always pray for the Dharma to last, for the lamas to live long, for the lamas to teach us in years to come, because they won't stick around if we don't, if there's no requesting and need. And so in these degenerate times, it's kind of like, and these are really degenerate times, if they were considered degenerate times 500 years ago, that he basically said that to have lamas that also manifest ordinary activities, and maybe even ordinary activities that look like they're harmful to others, and are harmful to others, he said, that's the best we can do. He said, I was really stunned, he said, we should just be lucky we have gurus at all. And to remember that even though it comes in this tainted, quote, tainted form, perhaps, but the teachings that these lamas give us are completely extraordinary. And that maybe we don't have to abide by their behavior, and maybe they don't need to continue to teach if they are harming people, but we should never disparage what we learn from them, because when they are teaching, and I can say this from experience, the teachings I've received from some lamas who have now don't teach anymore, they've been wonderful, wonderful teachings. And so I just leave that for you to sort of contemplate and to accept or not, but the main thing is that what we are learning and who we are learning from is not that ordinary being. It is the transmission that comes through that lineage. And you notice when lamas teach, we'll go through all the prayers, but then they stop and they do their own inner guru yoga before they begin to teach. And so what pours through them are the pure teaching of the Buddha, which is why that teaching is see the guru as Buddha. It's not because we expect the guru to behave like a Buddha all the time, because they are human beings. They will make mistakes. But while we're receiving the teachings, if we imagine we're receiving the teachings from a Buddha, then we get that blessing from the Buddha, not the ordinary being. So it's not so much that we have to pretend to see the guru all the time as extraordinary, that is they can have mistakes. They can, go to the bathroom. They can, get sick. They can, because they're in human bodies. But when we're receiving teachings, this is the important point. We're receiving teachings from their inner Dharmakaya mind. And Lama Zopa says over and over again that Guru Yoga is not about the ordinary person. It's not about, like a personality cult, or like, worshiping Mick Jagger or Britney Spears, or, whatever you did as a teenager. It's not that at all. Boom, that's out. It's about connecting my Dharmakaya with the Guru's Dharmakaya. And through that energetic connection, I can realize my own Dharmakaya mind. And so for this, when I take teachings from the Guru, this is what's important. And also when in my own personal practice, when I visualize the Guru as Vajradhara or the Guru as Green Tara, that's what I'm connecting with. I'm connecting with that enlightened experience of of the deity, of the guru, of the Buddha, so that that will then, when I bring that into me, I receive that. And that's what grows, and that's what makes the merit, and that what increases our capacity. And so the reason why we do all these preliminaries and learn the Lam Rim and work with these bodies, learn yoga, learn our breathing, do the exercises, is to open up these vessels so that our ordinary body, our subtle body, our ordinary mind, our subtle mind are open to receive these blessings that are there. And whether or not, even some people say, even if we don't already have a direct personal relationship, with Lama Zopa, we can always pray to His Holiness. We can always pray to Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And if you go, to DalaiLama.com, I'm sure most of you do, and receive transmissions from the Dalai Lama on Zoom, he is your guru. And that is who you can invoke when you invoke Tara. Tara is inseparable from His Holiness, because Tara is inseparable from His Holiness. That's just how it is, And it's because, His Holiness is here in ordinary form so that we have a Buddha with us on this planet today. We're so lucky. And so I encourage you to go to DalaiLama.com, because he gives transmissions. He teaches all the time online now. And especially when he gives transmissions. And it's important to be there live for the transmissions, because I don't think you get it from a tape. And like I said, I don't know how it works, but when he's there in Dharamsala and we're where we are, and we, wake up at 4 a.m. to get those transmissions, we get them. And so I really encourage you to do that. So we have just a few minutes left. And also next week is our last time together. So I really encourage you to send me questions. So yeah, because I'd like to kind of finish up with any things that are left hanging that you don't understand, or like that. And yeah, so and I'll design it, the last one about that. So let's just sit for a moment. And we'll just do a short Guru Yoga. So we can imagine that, let's just use His Holiness now. The Dalai Lama is in the space in front of us. And again, we can go back to where we started with our parents and friends and family all around us. Our motivation to attain enlightenment for all sentient beings. And turning our mind to His Holiness, as if we were stuck down a well and we're calling someone to please bring us a rope so we can get pulled out of that well. Because that's what it's like to be stuck in these ordinary bodies and minds. So we're calling the Guru to please come. And we can make the request, may I cut the continuum of self-grasping. Train in love, compassion, and the mind of enlightenment. And reach the unsurpassable Mahamudra union swiftly through the paths. So we can imagine that His Holiness is, here with us and is pleased. And we've made this request to cut the continuum of self-grasping and train in compassion to attain Mahamudra. And so through His blessing, we're going to, just like we did in the Green Tara, we're going to receive the blessings of the body, speech, and mind of the enlightened Buddhas. So we imagine if we can imagine in His Holiness's brow, there's a white light that comes to our brow chakra. And our whole body is filled with white light, and it purifies all of the obstacles we have with our bodies, all the past karmas, to attaining enlightenment. And then from His Holiness's throat chakra to our throat chakra, red light, right in the middle of our throat. Red light comes and purifies our speech. All of our wins, our patterns of negative speech, our habits, past karmas. We feel the blessings of the Buddha's holy speech entering our speech. And then from the heart chakra, in the center of the heart comes blue light rays into our heart. Our whole body is filled with blue light, and our minds, all of our wrong views, habits, wrong concepts, all of our emotional afflictions, projections, completely purified. And we receive the blessings of Buddha's holy mind. And then all three all together, and any subtle imprints remaining of grasping an inherent existence completely purified, as our bodies are filled with white, red, and blue light. Then we request again to be blessed, receive the blessings from His Holiness, to experience my mind inseparable with His Holiness's holy mind, to realize the Dharmakaya. So then the Dalai Lama dissolves into the subtle wind and mind at his heart, which we imagine as a very bright light that has the capacity to reflect all the colors of the rainbow. And this is the union of bliss and emptiness, the realization of enlightenment, the union of the clear light and illusory body. And that tiny little drop, which is in the nature of love, comes to the crown of our heads and enters into the opening in our crown chakra and settles in the crown chakra. And again, blissful, we feel this blissful nectar, just like a shower penetrating all throughout our body, through all our subtle channels, like warm honey in the nature of love. As we let go of concepts about this and that and coming and going, accepting, rejecting, the mind's completely calming into its natural state. And this drop moves down to the throat chakra. Again, penetrating. Into the heart. And right in the center of our chest is our heart chakra and our own subtle mind in the form of a tiny drop. And we can imagine that the drop of His Holiness is coming in and blending with our drop. And all conceptual apprehensions and experiences and visions completely drops away. There's clarity, awareness, and bliss. Non-duality, pure experience. And then our time's up. So if we go back, if we have the pages here, if you printed them out, just before the dedications, there's a little prayer above the Gaelic Mahamudra prayer, and it says, I hope you can find it, translators. If not, you probably already know it. It says, magnificent and precious root guru, please abide on the lotus seat at my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and grant me the realizations of your holy body, speech, and mind. So just in closing, I'd like to say that I know a lot of us are kind of scientifically oriented, and we like to think that, Buddhism is not a religion, but it's more like a science. And when we start talking about blessings and prayers, and it does have the qualities, doesn't it, of prayer and like religion. And I think that that's fine, because it is a part of our brain that we access to transform who we are. And whether we call it religion or science, it doesn't really matter. As long as we keep our heads about us and make our own decisions and approach it with, like Buddha said, always checking up, does this make sense to me? As long as we're not relying on blind faith and we understand karma very well, then this approach of devotion, the devotion that's required to open our hearts through this way is a really good thing. So yeah, so let's just dedicate. And again, thank you to the translators. I really appreciate it. I hope I try to go slow. So so let's just do the dedications. Maybe I'll chant them in Tibetan this time. Oh, and I just want to say one more thing, there's absolutely no reason why we need to do our practices in Tibetan. I know some of the other traditions require that, but I know Lama Zopa is really pro doing it in English or Spanish or Italian or German or Russian or whatever, because it means a lot more when we say it in words we mean. We know, we understand. But sometimes it's just kind of traditional and it's nice to do them in Tibetan, as long as you know the meaning. Because it's nice to chant them, which is why I have created the chants in my own language, because singing opens the heart too. And said that, it's taken time, so now we're just going to read in English, or read it in your own language. Due to this virtue, may I quickly become a Guru Buddha and lead all transmigratory beings without exception to that state. May the precious supreme bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that arisen not decline, but increase more and more. And then for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and we can do this in Tibetan because that's his language. Gangri rawe korwe shingam der pandan dewa malu jungwe ne chen reze wang tenzin gyatso yi shape si te bardu ten yor ching tong yi nin jezun du ju pe Lam che che sal ze kong chen ten droi gong. Chadna pe mo ten zen gyatso la so adeb so je dun lun dru sho. For Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Tu shu shan jin jan gon galway ten yang pelway kunzu do po tse chotsu kuwele bon tu drup dag zak tu du je gon du jap ten sho. So please, please, all the gurus live long and all the people working to spread dharma and virtue and goodness and peace and health throughout the world. May they all have long lives and all of their resources be plentiful for all the NGOs, for all the people trying to help people get out of Afghanistan, and for the people in Afghanistan and all the people affected by climate change and the pandemic, and especially for the leaders of this world. We dedicate that they can find in their hearts to say no to oil and to big business, and create policies that will help keep a planet suitable for life for the children and the animals and all the beings to come after us. So we always rejoice how wonderful it is and seal with emptiness. Myself is empty. The merit is empty. The sentient beings are empty. Everything's empty. Merely labeled on the base, dependent horizon. How wonderful it is. And thank you to Lars and Jeff and Nina and everyone at Laksam. And I hope this was helpful and beneficial. Yeah, the power of the Guru can't be underestimated, but we have to be wise about how we relate to the Guru. So thank you very much. And I guess that's it. Is that okay, Lars? We're good?
You're good. Thank you. Thank you very much, Paula. That was wonderful. Yeah. Thank you very much. It was wonderful meditation, wonderful teachings. And thank you to the translators. And thank you to
Gracias.
Johnny tonight. You can say thank you now. Everybody, just thank Paula.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Paula.
much.
Thank you, Paula. From Liverpool,
Thank
UK.
you. Thank
you, Paula.
Mwah.
Good
night,
night.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bendiciones.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.